Hello students and welcome again to Legacy IAS Academy. In this budget, we will be discussing about the prospects that the budget can hold when it comes to the social sector schemes or the spend in the social sector direction. So why are we going to discuss this? Because there has been a persistent either stagnation or a decline when it comes to the social sector. Okay, it has been. So now it remains to be seen that will this decline be reversed or not. So what is the concern actually over here? The concern is over the last few years, there have been steep cuts. Steep cuts in what? In social sector area, basically in various schemes and various dimensions of social sector. So what are these? One very big scheme is MGNREGA, which comes under MGNREGA, that is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Under that is the MGNREGS, that is the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. Apart from that, the rural development has also taken a hit again with respect to the social sector. At the same time, PM-PoshanThe, which consists of scheme like midday meal scheme. At the same time, various pension schemes which are there for social security, the old age pension scheme, the widow pension scheme. So all these things have seen a downfall, a steep cut in the spending. So will it be reversed or not is what remains to be seen. So what areas have been affected? Number one is the health sector has been affected, and if you look at the percentage decline from around 2.4 to 2.2, it has come down to 1.85 to 1.75. So you can directly say from 2.45 to 1.75. Now you may think that this is a small number of let's say 0.7%. No, this 0.7% decline is on 2.4%. So it is basically over 25% of decline in the spending. Please look at and calculate the percentage in this way. It is close to 25% of decline. Then comes the higher education. In higher education, we see from 1.57 it has gone to 0.88. So it has almost halved. It has almost half. So there has been around 50% of reduction over here. So that's a huge percentage of reduction that is happening. Then when you look at school education, this was higher education. School education consists of primary, secondary, middle, all those schools. So in that also from 2.8 to 1.3, again over 40% of decline is absolutely visible. Now, social welfare, here comes the pension, old age pension, widow pension, again social security, which is necessary for social security. Now what is social security? Is necessary for social security means you have social security if you cannot do anything, if you are differently abled, if you are old. So for them, if there is any allowances, that is what social security is. People who cannot help themselves or it is difficult for them, so the government has to provide for them. Those are the schemes that come under this. And if you look at it, it is also again half, over 45% reduction is here as well. And then you look at the rural development. So allocation to rural development, there has not been significant percentage wise decline, but this has sort of remained stagnant. There has been no improvement also in this over the last few years. It has remained below 6% consistently. So these are the areas that have been impacted. In these areas, what are the major schemes that have been impacted? They are MGNREGA. Now, the allocation for the ongoing fiscal year is 86,000 crore, which is just 1.78 of the total budget. Now, this is a 10-year low which is there. And also, please understand, this is the allocation. At the same time, what has happened here is there was a lack of fund. There was a lack of fund in MGNREGA scheme. Still, no additional fund was allocated. Now, how can be a lack of fund be there in MGNREGA scheme? Whatever you allot, you utilize that, right? But that's not the case in MGNREGA. Why? Because when you talk about MGNREGA, MGNREGA is a demand-driven scheme. Understand the difference. Manrega is a demand driven scheme. Other schemes can be supply driven scheme. For example, you have let's say LPG scheme, any LPG scheme, Ujjwala Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. So when Ujjwala Yojana is there, you have a target of supplying, let's say 2 lakh connections, 20 lakh connection, XYZ lakhs or millions of connections. So you know, if I have to supply X million of connection, each connection cost me Y rupees, so the total is XY rupees that will be spent. And you will not require anything more unless and until some unforeseen things happened or suddenly the cost increased, nothing like that. So it is fixed. But with Manrega, what happens? It's a employment guarantee. You are guaranteeing the employment, that boss, if you do not have employment, come to us. I will ensure that I will give you employment for 100 days every year. That's my guarantee. So now it can so happen that only 100 people come, or 200 people come, or 300 people come, or more people can come. So maybe 5 crore, 6 crore, 7 crore. So that is not fixed. However much is the demand, that amount of work you have to, or work days you have to provide. That means it's a demand driven. So you cannot simply say that 86, okay, of course you have to budget, so you will put an allocation, but if there is more requirement, you will have to provide it, because the name itself is what? Guarantee. Job guarantee. It's a guarantee act. You are guaranteeing that. So it is demand driven. Even though it is demand driven, still when the funds were lacking, no additional fund was provided. So completely defeating the promise that is made. Remember that. Then of course, shortfall in funding, we talked about that only. Manrega workers, there was a shortfall, still there was no funding allocation, even though it is demand driven. Plus you have National Social Assistance Program. Now this Social Assistance Program is the program in which comes the various pension schemes. So in pensions you have old age, you have widow pension, etc. So in this, what has happened from 1.21 to 0.2, means this is, multifold decline has happened. So from 1.21, if it would have halved, it would have become 0.6, but it's half of that is 0.3, and even less, it's simply 0.2. So 0.2% it is now. So what is the decline? The decline is 1% upon 1.21 into 100. So this is around close to 80% of decline in the allocation that has taken place. That means few years back it was 6 times. Now it is way lesser than that. Plus you have the Pradhan Mantri Poshan scheme. This also has seen reduction in the, you cannot say reduction because there was an exception in the year 2024, but it has declined to 0.26% of the total budget, which is the lowest in the last 9 years. So everywhere you can see decline, you can see the lowest numbers are featuring. Now PM-Poshan scheme consists of midday meal scheme as well. Midday meal scheme does not even help in nutrition, but also ensures high turnaround of the students and attendance of the student. So education and all will also be affected. So it has a domino effect as well. However, things are not that bad, but there are certain exceptions as well. We will look at the exceptions first. Then we will have a discussion as to why this happens. Why to reduce? Why not put more? We'll discuss that as well. But let us look at the exception. So the exception is the Ayushman Bharat scheme, Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. This has either been stable or it has increased. So it has increased or stable. Same is the case with Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, the rural component of it. So Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana has urban as well as rural component. So the rural component has either increased or remained stable. Why we are not sure? It's not that we are not sure. We are talking about the last few years. So it has either increased or remained stable. It has not gone down. Same with Pradhan Mantri Schools for Rising India, PM Shri Yojana. The case is the same. Now, before coming on to the expectation, let us discuss why. Why does this happen? So, it's very easy to criticize, keep criticizing, but there is a reason for why this happens. See, the budget, the money, the amount we can spend is limited. So if I spend more on social sector scheme, I have to cut down somewhere else. It is not that I have an unlimited supply of money or a surplus deficit. That means I'm earning more and spending less. No, it's not like that. It is that I have this given 100 rupees. Now I have this 10 areas to spend. If I spend A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I and J. Now if I spend more here, I have to cut somewhere else. If I spend more here, I have to cut somewhere else. So it is a trade-off, right? And other sectors are also important. Defense, is it not important? It is of course important, especially for a country like India, which is surrounded by countries like Pakistan and China, which are a nuisance. And nuisance is a very euphemism, very soft word. So we are surrounded by such countries. Our boundaries have to be strong. Our defense, our military, everything has to be strong. We have to spend a lot over there to guard our borders. Then we have our oceanic waters also. All those things are there. Even Bangladesh, for that matter, immigration, all those things. There are issues with respect to India everywhere, or in all the direction. Even in Sri Lanka, we have faced certain issues, etc. So the idea is that you have to spend on defense also. So if you increase there, would you want to reduce here? Right? Or if you increase here, would you want to reduce in the social sector scheme? So this is a trade-off. I'm not saying there's a direct trade-off between defense and social sector, but you need to get the point that if I have to increase somewhere, I have to reduce somewhere else. Right? So then what is the way forward? One way forward can be, I am distributing this 100% among all the things. If my 100 rupees is 100%, so 1% means what? 1 rupee. So what I can do is I can increase this thing. If I can make it a total of 150 rupees, then 1% would mean what? 1.5 rupees. So that is why our GDP, our revenue, our production should keep on increasing. That is what we should be looking at. And what are the expectations from this year budget? We are expecting that there needs to be expenditure on health, specifically focusing on autonomous body like all AIMS, basically all India medical services. Okay. At the same time, rural development should be furthered specifically with respect to MGNREGA scheme and Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana rural and MGNREGA. Why MGNREGA? See, in MGNREGA, who are coming? Those who do not have any job. They can't even earn 151 rupees. That is why they are coming for 150 or 100 rupees. So that is the poorest of the poor who is coming. So you need to ensure that that is done. At the same time, other social welfare schemes, specifically old age, widow, wherein there may be no jobs, nothing. So they need those pension for bare minimum survival. There needs to be focus on inclusivity. The last person standing in the queue should not be left out. Inclusivity with respect to old age, with respect to gender, with respect to differently able people. All those things should be included, and there needs to be sustainability of the schemes. Now, when can the scheme be sustainable? When it is reaping benefits. Now, reaping benefits does not mean profit. Reaping benefit means it is giving us what it was meant for. If there is a scheme to reduce poverty and poverty is reducing, but then how that will happen? If the scheme money is being utilized efficiently and you are excluding the ghost beneficiaries, you are avoiding exclusion and inclusion errors. When you do all those things, you come up with an efficient scheme, and that will help in the sustainability of the scheme. So this is what is expected of the upcoming budget, which is due to be released on 1st of February. When it is released, we are going to dissect each and every dimension of the budget. So stay tuned to Legacy IAS Academy channel. Thank you.